we'll go ahead and get started. Today is our Business Owner Perspectives series. We have our friend and client Frank with us, sitting there with Joe. We appreciate you joining us. In the interest of time, since this is only a 35-minute or 25-minute now, I'm going to let Joe go ahead and get started with our conversation.
Good morning. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Marcella, for making it all come together. Hi, everybody, and good to see you. Eileen, it's good to see you too, my dear. So, Frank, you started an electrical company how many years ago?
40 years ago.
40 years ago. Tell me how you started. Were you an electrician? Were you what?
I was an electrician for a company called Fauché Electric, and I got through the company very quickly and became superintendent by the time I was like 24, 25.
Right.
And then I was working on a job, and a contractor came up to me and goes that he really liked the way I did things, and he goes, I'm starting up to start and do what you do, which is track homes.
Right.
And he said, would you consider breaking away from Fauché Electric and becoming my electrician? His name was Mike Reynolds, and it was Reynolds Communities.
Right.
So I did. And my wife didn't appreciate it too much. She was 22 and pregnant with our first child. And I just had a $28 job with full benefits in 1979. So in 1979, that was
Quite a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and we just bought our first home too. So she goes, in very colorful language, what the hell are you doing home? So it was a one-man shop out of my garage. That's about it.
Very cool. And over those years, you started to grow significantly. What was the first time that you started a big pot?
I always had the mentality when I had one guy, I wanted two. When I had two, I wanted four. When I had six, I wanted eight. And I started doing, I got thrown out of a lot of doors because not everybody, I got to know Mike Reynolds.
Right.
But I went to KB Homes and Lennar and those places, and they go, who the hell are you? And I got a lot of rejections in my first 5 years, I would say.
Right.
And then I started building a reputation, and I was very, very persistent. And I think that's probably one of the reasons I was successful, is because I was more persistent than anything else.
You had a wife that was having a baby, and then you had another one shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
You needed to be persistent, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. At what point did you feel that you were a running business rather than a guy with a couple of guys?
Gosh, I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know. I just never really thought about it.
So you kept on growing. At what point did you start taking government contracts? Because that's a bigger deal. That's a bonding issue and a lot more that goes on.
We did take a couple government projects, but they demand too much information, too much paperwork. And I'm more of a simple person. I like things simplified. So I stuck with the private contractors. Like my contractors today are Garden Communities. They own the Minnesota Vikings. Not KB, but there's Trimble Crow, and then the Irvine Company.
Sure.
And I've been doing their work for, I don't know, all my customers today are customers that I've had for almost 20 years.
And then you recently sold.
Yeah.
Were you looking to sell everything? Were you looking to keep a piece? What were you looking to do?
Well, the way it worked out was that we sold the company, but we owned 20% of the hedge fund that bought us.
Okay.
So they bought the best of the best in California, and the biggest and largest with the most clientele. And then we left 20% into the hedge fund. So when they build us up to their EBITDA being, I don't know, 120 million, 80 million, 190 million, 200 million, they sell to a bigger hedge fund, and we get a portion of that.
Yeah. So had you been approached over the last dozen years or so to sell? And why didn't you at the time?
Never.
Never got approached?
No.
Were you interested in selling?
No.
what made you decide to say yes to this deal?
It was, they made me an offer I could not refuse.
That's a good answer. Did you have family working in the business?
Yes.
So what was that like?
Uh, you know what? We're a Sicilian family, and we're all very strong-headed, but it first of all, I got to give credit to my wife putting up with me being an asshole most of the time.
Your wife is an angel,
I know that.
and she's a very direct woman.
Yeah. And then I had my son Joe that started working for me. Gosh, when he was 14 years old, he's now 42. And then my son Nick went to college, got a business degree,
Sure.
and he was running the financial end of it. And we all got along.
At some point, you started to make more money than you were making money. You were pumping it back in the business. You were paying down some real estate, et cetera. But at some point, you started to have more money than that. How did you choose your accountant, attorney, financial advisor?
God, I went through 3 CPAs. I finally ended up with a good one. It's, the CPAs, it's funny. When they first get your account, they're very attentive, and
Yes.
but then they hand you over to somebody else, and then everything kind of falls apart. I ended up with Kurt now, and Kurt
Yes.
is
Good guy.
very good guy. And when I call him, I talk to him, not his assistant. And that's real important to me, that I get to talk to who I started the relationship with.
Very much so. And that's on the CPA side. How about the financial planner side? How'd you end up with that financial planner? And did you go through a few before that?
I've never had a financial planner.
Okay.
Yeah, except for just recently. Tony approached me about 3 years ago. Yeah.
And what made you say yes to Tony as opposed to the others?
Well, we're real big conservatives, and we go to a lot of political events. I met him at Trump's first inauguration, and we became friends, but not for business. We just became friends personally. And then I had some stock in a company named NewView, which I thought was going to hit real big, which is still going to hit. So we started preparing for that to hit, and how we were going to take care of our taxes.
Very much so. And then you've had lawyers in your life because you've been running a contracting company.
Right.
Most of those lawyers have been litigation, PAGA, construction defect, et cetera. You eventually bump into somebody like us. How'd you find us?
Actually, Tony brought me to.
So the advisor that became your friend through the political side and the personal side then brought you to us. At what point did Tony introduce the idea that he might be able to help you financially?
Gosh,
Was it after he brought us to you or before?
it was. I have to say that I don't really recall.
Sure. And what now that you've been through, because you've been through a process, it took quite a few months from the time that somebody you knew said, "Hey, we'd like to buy you," till this thing closed. So how long was that process?
I'd say about 18 months.
And what do you wish you knew in the first month that you didn't know until the 18th month?
Well, since we've never gone through a process like this before, it was a continuous learning process all the way through the 18 months. So I got to tell you, my son Joe really stepped up to the plate.
Very much so.
And he, when I kind of handed over the business to him about 3 years ago, and I said, you got to start taking over it, I didn't want to bird dog him. I wanted him to, I kept my eyes on everything, but I wanted him to learn. I wanted him to make the mistakes. And I figured if this company was going to grow, the only way it would grow is we brought in a younger generation and let him think for his own.
Sure.
And because of the way he was raised by my wife and I, he really took the company a couple steps further.
And was Joe helping choose the professionals you'd work with as well, or day-to-day operations? What was his role?
Just day-to-day operations.
So a good piece of advice would be to bring the next generation in and let them fail or let them start to succeed, because they bring energy in?
Absolutely. Joe learned everything, being with me for 25 years, whatever it was. He learned the way I dealt business, the way I kind of sit there and listen and then take it in. He learned the way I get aggressive. But usually you try
Are
to
you
keep,
telling me a Sicilian contractor can be aggressive?
no, not at all. We do it mildly. But Joe did a really, really good job of paying attention to how I did it. And actually, he improved it quite a bit. I was happy that he did take over and he took he basically took the bull by the horn and rode it.
Very much so. As you were starting to look at the legal, financial, and tax ramifications of selling, there was a big number, but then they were going to hold back 20%, but then there was going to be tax. How did you and your wife start to figure that out? Is she just as good with the numbers?
Are you talking about the people that bought us? Or-
No, as you were looking at with this deal, there were a lot of numbers thrown out at the same time. How is it for you and she to process this together?
You know what? I love my wife to death, but she just pretty much, it was me and Joe.
You and your son.
Yeah, me and Joe. And, and Kathy, at the end of the day, we go, what's going on? And I tell her, the way it's been my whole life, she just goes, you do what's best. Okay.
Very much so. And with your two boys, you had included them in ownership earlier on, but then, from my recollection, you wanted to give them a bit more of the sale.
Hmm.
Why is that? What drove that decision?
I think they deserved it. I think Joe deserved a lot. He did take the company another step, and I'm not greedy. I mean, I gave Joe 40%.
Right.
He only had 20
Yep.
at the sale. And I gave 10. I gave Nick 10%. And then me and Joe took 45.
Yep. So, and as you went through that, there was some math that had to be done and some legal and tax planning around that to make sure the IRS got less. Were you surprised at how much the IRS in the state of California would like to have of your money?
Oh, yes. Actually, no. Yes, I know they would take the money, but I was very much aware the state of California is not really business friendly.
So we had to deal with, Joe had started with some interest. We had to increase Joe's interest before the sale and increase Nick's interest before the sale and do that in a tax efficient way. And then also plan on you receiving the money in a more tax efficient way so the state of California federal government got less. What was it like to have to learn all that legal tax mumbo jumbo?
Well, you taught me a lot of it, Joe.
Thank you.
I don't think I would have got through this without you. Your firm is fantastic, and how you went about explaining everything and how, meticulous you were about telling me about everything that I needed, advise me on how to, what I should do. You were a big step in this whole thing.
Well, thank you very much for that. We're also lucky to work with your accountant, Kurt, who's a great guy who knew of these types of things. This was not brand new to Kurt. So you had, by that point, you'd gone through 3 CPAs and you'd reach a CPA that these kind of concepts was not new to. He was well aware of these things. And then we also introduced a trust company in part of this too, because we needed some asset protection and we needed a third party to that. What was it like being introduced to a trust company as the idea, and the idea that there would be a trust holding things instead of your name?
I never really knew much about that until you brought me to Jeffrey's.
Sure.
Dunham. And, Jeffrey and I have had personal conversations, and I got to tell you, he's a lot like your company. You guys really work well together, and you're very personable. Is what I like about it. Very comfortable and personal.
And also you can get to the actual principles of companies do things, although there's lots of people doing things.
Right.
And so you've had some personal conversations with Jeff too. Were they about what to do with the money? Were they about life after selling? What were those conversations like?
It was mostly, I've never been in this position. I mean, I've always had money, but not
This kind of money.
This kind of money. And he explained, how to invest the money, how to invest it wisely. I just had a lot of questions, personal questions that I needed to get some answers to.
Sure. At some point in the process, life insurance has been brought up a couple of times. What has it been like being introduced to that concept?
I'm not that real excited about that life insurance. I mean, $10 million, whatever they
Sure.
were talking. We're still juggling that right now.
So that's still something that you're processing through.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
it wasn't
mean,
part of the-
Kurt's not my CPA, and actually Jeffrey was not real thrilled about the cost of it.
Sure.
I know that it's probably with the life insurance policy is like what 28 cents to the dollar.
Sure, of course.
Dollar, whatever it is. And but with real estate, it's I think more like a dollar per dollar deal. I'm not sure, but we're still figuring that out.
And then you were saying you're getting used to this kind of money. How has your wife been involved at all in the redeployment of it? Because it comes over, it's a bunch of cash, and then you got to deploy the money into investing. Did she want to be involved in that, or is that going to be you, or is that going to be you and Joe, your son?
Well, Joe's taking care of his investments.
Sure.
He's very independent, and so am I. Kathy and I discuss things, and basically it's been you and Joe, and I'm sorry, you and Jeffrey.
Sure.
Yeah, that we talked to.
And then we're starting to pose different things. Are you more in favor of real estate, the stock market, angel investing, investing in other companies? What is more comfortable for you?
You know what? I've always done real well with real estate. Stock market, I've got a couple stocks right now that I'm messing around with, but I've been involved with, which I hope hit. But I've always been done real well. But now that I'm 70 years old and I got a lot of money sitting in an account,
Yep.
why do I want to take any more chances with anything like when I can live comfortably the way I am?
Sure. And the boys have already got a good start, and your daughter as well.
Yeah. So I've looked at some apartments. I think apartments are always good. I think that you can, depreciate most of it in one year and take that full benefit.
Sure.
But I don't know.
Accelerating some of the depreciation
Yeah.
for it, which gives a income with a less tax burden at the time,
Yes.
right?
But again, I'm 70, and we're just kind of considering our options right now.
If you had a buddy who was 65 years old and, that had the boat next to you, and he said, Frank, I heard you sold. I'm sitting here. I've got my kids in the business. I'm thinking about selling. What are some good pieces of advice I consider selling? What would you tell him?
Well, again, I never considered selling. They came after me.
Yep.
So that was a good sign. Okay, there's a reason they came after me. And it was because of the way we ran our business, the way our clientele was massive. Not very many people have a clientele like Seal Electric did.
Yeah.
And putting us together with 4 other major contractors like myself, we basically controlled California. So it took, for you to say, would you tell them to sell? Well, if you go out and try to advertise to sell yourself, I wouldn't even know how to do that.
Sure. And what would you tell him advice on what should he be listening for his attorneys, his accountants, his financial people? Because you were really lucky to already have Kurt. What would you tell him about professionals? What should he be looking for?
If he sold the company?
Well, if he's considering selling and he has a CPA, an attorney in financial, he's considering somebody else, he's looking at his people, what would you tell him as a litmus test or as a way to see if he had the right team? Because clearly Kurt was great for you.
Yeah.
And the ones before that, not so much.
Yeah.
So what was the difference in Kurt? You got to talk to him directly.
Yeah.
What else?
He's just very personable. He was easy to talk to, and he gave me good advice.
Very much so.
Yeah. I mean, that's about it.
Very cool. So, Shelley, I'd like to find out from our audience if there's any questions that they might have.
Sure. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Frank, as a part of your deal, what's the transition been like? Have you been involved still with the company? Are you still gonna stay involved for a while, or what's that look like?
I'm still the president of the company. My son's the vice president.
Okay.
And we're signed up to stay with it for about 3 years. And we make the best. What I liked about this company that bought us, or the hedge fund that bought us, they said, "You're a very successful company. We want nothing to do with running your company." So
Okay.
one of the things, or I would have, that was one of the major decisions of me selling the company, is they could not come in and start getting rid of my people and try to say they know how to run the company better. I would have told them to pound sand. Okay, they said basically, we don't want nothing to do with you. You just keep making money, and and keep making us money and be part of our group, and then we all sell in 3 to 4 years, and we all make a lot more money. But they want nothing to do with running Seal Electric.
Very good. And so you're planning to stay working for another 3 years or so, and then hand off to Joe, or?
No, Joe's pretty much running the show. I'm kind of like the concierge on the side.
Okay. So you're not working full time right now.
No, me and Joe are in constant contact with each other daily. We make decisions together. Right now, I'm trying to make a decision with buying copper out of China at a lot less, but I'm working through the tariffs.
Yeah.
And then they're going to bring it into Long Beach, which it's been long negotiations, but we'll save 40% on our copper, which if we buy $4 or $5 million, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Hey, Dennis, I saw your hand up.
Yeah. My question to you is, you had two sons. One has 45%, one has 10%. How did you visit with them and reconcile that one was going to get 45 and the other 10?
Well, one of them worked his ass off. The other one liked to party a lot.
Oh, that would be a main reason.
That's the more reason I can tell you. One of them likes, okay, it's 7 to 3:30. He's gone. The other one will be there on Saturdays and Sundays doing what he has to do.
Sure.
So it didn't cause any strife between the two?
No, because Nick didn't think he was going to get anything, but and that 10% is going to give him about 4 million, so he's good.
Good chunk.
And
A good chunk.
Oh yeah. So I mean, and now he has an opportunity to grow with this big. He can take, if he decides to do work his ass off like Joe does, he can go a long ways in this company.
Yeah.
But
Another opportunity later, right?
he just likes to play a lot. So
Now, as a side note to everybody, Frank also makes his own wine on his property. He's won medals over at the Del Mar Fair, and he's been kind enough. Sometimes we'll go over and he put a couple of big containers in the back part of his property. And when he opens it up, it smells like the old wine cellar that I walked into with my dad as a kid. And my son and I opened a bottle from him recently too. So thank you for that.
I got to get you some more.
Yeah. Frank, thank you very much for the time this morning. I appreciate you coming in and doing it. Ella, thanks for organizing. Shelley, you're always the queen to make all this kind of stuff happen. Thank you all very much for spending time with us this morning. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of months for another one of our Business Owner Series pieces.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe.